This is absolutely hilarious. Am I the only person that thinks this is hilarious? I'm trying to. Is this the only time we've ever seen a situation like this happen, where a player has been suspended, not for a game, for a half? She's suspended for a half. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. She is suspended for a half a basketball game.
Caitlin Clark didn't just casually express interest in returning. She insisted she was ready. But behind the scenes, the Indiana Fever front office and even head coach Stephanie White were having very different conversations. They weren't discussing scoring, rotations, or playoffs. They were talking about something much more serious.
According to the report, Reese said she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Banham or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading a playoff team. Guard Ariel Atkins is another player on the Sky's roster with WNBA championship experience. Tyler Marsh said, "We are aware of it," what Angel Reese said. "We're addressing it in-house as currently speaking. That's where we'll stay right now."
Her long-term health. Stephanie White openly said, "We are worried about the long-term health of Caitlin Clark." That was the main topic inside the organization.
Tell front office sports, the entire team has seen Reese's comments and they're basically unhappy with the direct attacks. They are even planning a team meeting to talk about it. We'll read you some of the excerpts, which does kind of not make her team look good. One of which say, "We can't rely on Courtney," that's Courtney Vandersloot, "to come back at the age that she's at. I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we can't rely on that. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience, somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before."
They knew how much weight she carried, how many minutes she played, and how physical her rookie season had been. So even though Caitlin wanted to come back immediately, the team felt the responsibility to slow everything down, not to hold her back, but to protect her future. When Caitlin Clark was drafted, the Indiana Fever weren't even in the national conversation. They were a struggling franchise with minimal attention. But the moment she stepped into the league, everything changed overnight. Attendance shot.
Also, you guys remember the story. Angel Reese calling out her teammates, calling out the front office. You're a bum, you're a bum, you're a bum. You're a bum. Yeah, you ladies won't do it for me. Coach Marsh, can you please coach harder? Yeah, Angel Reese. 48 hours later, already backtracking on those statements, already moonwalking like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, he'd probably be proud how quickly Angel Reese is moonwalking from the comments she made. And I have an exclusive.
TV ratings broke records, and suddenly the Fever were playing meaningful games again. Caitlin didn't just improve the team, she resurrected it. Her shooting, floor vision, confidence, and leadership turned the Fever from a bottom-tier team into legitimate playoff contenders. And she did this as a rookie.
Some of the other stuff that she said was also pretty bad. Like, I'm not settling for the same we did this year. We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I am willing and wanting to play with the best. And however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. So it's going to be very, very important this offseason to make sure that we attract the best of the best, because we can't settle for what we have this year. So her saying we can't settle for what we have this year, that is basically like a slap in the face to Becca Allen. That is a slap in the face to Rachel Banham. That is a slap in the face to Ariel.
Carrying pressure most veterans never experience. Her impact wasn't just basketball skills. It was cultural, financial, and emotional. She single-handedly put the Fever back on the map.
Sky values safety, respect, and well-being of every player. We're committed to accountability so our players can stay focused on playing basketball. Because of statements made by Angel Reese during league-mandated media, I've never seen this before, where she is getting suspended for a half. Not a game. Not a game. One half. One half she is getting suspended for. That is absolutely...
Every decision the Fever made started revolving around one thing. How is Caitlin feeling today? It reached a point where her health status influenced rotations, minutes, strategy, and even practice intensity. The organization understood that they weren't just developing a rookie, they were managing the face of the league. Any minor injury, tweak, or fatigue instantly became a major conversation. The coaches had to constantly balance her competitive fire with the reality that she was logging heavy minutes in the most physical environment she'd ever played in. It wasn't paranoia, it was preservation. Caitlin faced a level of pressure that almost no rookie in
Be here for the rest of my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction and do what's best for me. And listen, I totally get that, because if you are somebody with a lot of star power, you don't want your career just like rotting away in a place, especially the Sky. The GM, Jeff Pagliocca, he absolutely sold the Sky's future. He traded away draft picks for this like win now mentality. And who he drafted? Now, I don't want to speak bad about Hailey Van Lith, but she has not had a mentor to actually mentor her to be any proper type of point guard. So she's kind of been flying in the dark. She hasn't exactly proven her worth in
WNBA history has faced. She became the league's biggest draw, the media's biggest topic, and every opposing team's biggest target. Game after game, she absorbed hits, hard screens, elbows, and fouls that were rarely called the same way for her as for other players. Combine that with constant travel, back-to-back games, interviews, obligations, and national attention, and her body was pushed to its absolute limit. The Fever's concern wasn't just that she was tired.
This is the reason I have spent the last few years referring to the WNBA as a dump. This is the reason I don't feel bad when I refer to the WNBA as a toxic turd. Not only have they damn near ruined their opportunity with Caitlin Clark, the dump diver they chose to support, the pretend basketball player they have spent the last 2 years begging you to support. They desperately want her to be accepted. They are desperate to make her a star. Not only has she been rejected by normal people, Angel Reese is now being rejected and potentially kicked off of her own.
Their concern was that one wrong landing or one aggressive hit could cause a serious setback. They saw how much physical punishment she was absorbing, and they knew they needed to intervene. Fans kept asking, why isn't she playing more? Why do they pull her out? Why does she look upset? What they didn't see was the conversations happening in the trainer's room. Caitlin is wired to compete. She wants to play every minute of every game. But the staff could see the toll the season was taking. The fatigue, the soreness, the heavy workload. So while fans and media demanded more of her, the Fever took the opposite approach. They were cautious. They were protective. They wanted to make sure she didn't push herself into an injury she couldn't bounce back from. They weren't holding her back for the team's sake, they were doing it for her. Stephanie White's comments were more than just concern, they revealed the internal priority of the organization. She made it very clear, the conversation wasn't about winning today. It was
earlier in the week, in an interview, threw her Chicago Sky teammates under a bus, and then ran the bus over them, and then backed up the bus, bouncing over them again, and then proceeded to drive over them one more good time, just to be sure that their carcasses were no longer twitching. It was one of the most me, selfish ass interviews I've ever heard from any athlete, trashing her very own.
About making sure Caitlin Clark can still dominate 5 years from now. White emphasized that Caitlin's health had become the central topic inside the locker room, among coaches, trainers, and front office staff. Everyone understood the responsibility they carried because Caitlin isn't just a player. She's the driving force of the entire franchise. And when a star like that is dealing with heavy contact every night, you don't gamble with her health. Caitlin's frustration wasn't about teammates, coaching, or strategy. It was something deeper. She felt physically capable of continuing, and she wanted to fight through the tough moments. But the staff stepped in and told her to slow down. For a player with her competitive spirit, being told wait or rest is harder than taking a bad shot or losing a game. She doesn't have an off switch. So when she looked frustrated on the bench or during timeouts, it wasn't drama. It was
suspended for a first half. What is this, college football? I've seen in college where people will get suspended for a half. Not in the pros. People getting suspended for a half game in the pros. Just suspend her for the whole game. Y'all don't have nothing to lose. Y'all don't have nothing to lose. If you're going to suspend her, just suspend her for another game. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Suspend her for a half is kind of weird. But yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Pure competitiveness clashing with medical caution. She wanted to be on the floor, and the team wanted her to think big picture. The physicality Caitlin faced in the WNBA shocked even longtime basketball fans. From day one, teams targeted her with bumps, traps, hard screens, and aggressive defense. She was hit more in 1 month of the WNBA than in multiple seasons of college ball. Every collision made the Fever nervous. They saw her getting knocked down, hit in midair, shoved off screens, yet she always bounced back up. Still, the staff knew she could only...
don't have many players nowadays that know how to go through that building phase and know how to stick through in the hard times and come out, when it's sunny outside. Everybody just want to just hop to where it's already a finished product and then just add their little spin to it. Because hypothetically, let's say right now, yeah, she can go hop on Minnesota and win a ring, but is that fulfilling? Like, she can go hop on Las Vegas Aces right now and help them, get there. And if she win a ring with them, but is that fulfilling? Because now it's just like you just ring chasing, which everybody should want to win a ring, but it's like, come on.
Player like Caitlin Clark. She isn't just their best player. She's the engine of the franchise, the reason for sold-out arenas, and the center of the national spotlight. Losing her to a long-term injury would be catastrophic. Not just for the team, but for the league. That's why the organization became extra cautious. Every decision, from practice intensity to minutes played, went through the filter of her long-term safety. They know she is the future, and they cannot afford to gamble with that future for a single game. People online argued the Fever were overly protective. Others said they were smart. But the truth is somewhere in the middle.
I don't care how great you are. I don't care how talented you are. If you're constantly causing problems, if you can't get along with your colleagues, there always comes a point when the bullshit outweighs the talent. Organizations will only tolerate so much. Everyone has a breaking point. You can't be a pain in the ass. You can't ostracize your teammates while being a huge embarrassing failure. You can't be a problem when you can't win a damn game.
A player like Caitlin Clark is rare, generational. Her impact extends beyond basketball. Protecting her doesn't mean she's weak. It means she's valuable. Teams around the league are already game planning specifically for her, trying to wear her down physically. The Fever have to counterbalance that by managing her minutes, her rest, and her recovery. If they overplay her now, they risk shortening her career, and they refuse to let that happen. Fans kept...
I don't think I'm frustrated. I probably am frustrated myself right now. I think the language is taken out of context, and I really didn't intentionally mean to put down my teammates because they've been through this with me throughout the whole year. They've busted their ass just how I busted my ass. They showed up for me through thick and thin and in the locker room when nobody could see anything. So I would apologize to my teammates, which I already have, about the article and how it was misconstrued, about what was said. And I just have to be better with my language because I know it's not the message, it's the messenger, and understanding what I say can be taken any kind of way. So I just have to...
Asking, why does Caitlin look frustrated on the bench? It wasn't anger. It wasn't emotional breakdown. It was a competitor being forced to think long-term when she only wants to think about the next play. Caitlin's entire life has been built on pushing herself past limits. But the Fever staff didn't want her to push past a breaking point. They kept telling her, "We need you healthy for years, not just tonight." That tension, between present ambition and long-term vision, created moments where her competitive fire showed through.
I think the Chicago Bravado are realizing that Angel Reese is not worth the trouble. This is just the beginning. I think this is step one of the process, the first stage of divorce. I think the Chicago Bravado are preparing to trade the face of failure.